Hello, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and this is the live stream on Tuesday, May 10th. We're going to talk about niche sites in general. We'll probably hit keyword research, maybe niche selection. We'll talk about content, link building, whatever questions you have. I don't have a set agenda for today. I do see we have a couple folks in the audience. So please let me know if you can hear me. We have Rolando from Mexico. We have Daniel as well. Good to see you both. Let me know if you could hear me. I think it's working, but it's always good to double check. And like I said, we don't have a set agenda for today, just answering some questions. I can highlight a couple things that we published not too long ago. We being here on the channel, me. We did a live stream last week on informational keywords and finding them, and that was very popular. So we'll probably look at that again in the future. Very good topic. And I just did an interview with Christy. It'll be coming out, I think, in a couple weeks here, next week, maybe in a couple weeks. And Christy has been doing a case study with me for like a year and a half, and we were chatting about whether she would run out of keywords, if she could just keep publishing for many years. And she also mentioned unlimited numbers of informational keywords. She was like, I'll never run out. Like when I was first brainstorming, I was keeping like a long list of ideas, and we haven't even gotten to all of those. And that was like 3 years ago. And she's done some competition analysis as well to get a bunch of keywords in general. And she's like, I haven't even hit the unlimited informational keywords. So that was a fun one to, I guess, the live stream, just to talk about it in the live stream last week. So certainly check that out. Jamie is on as well. What's happening? Carlos says you could hear me from Spain. Stefan says it's crisp. And from Austria, Gustavo's on as well. We have Sam from Toronto. Yeah, things are good. So let me know the questions you have. We will go through them. I'll say hello to the people that watch the replay. More people watch the replay. I'm happy that people do watch it. So that's fantastic, and I appreciate it. If you want to get notifications for when these come out, when I go live, there's a link, the first link in there. The thing is, YouTube is not, it's not well known for sending out timely notifications. Sometimes people get these late. Sometimes they don't get them at all. So if you definitely want to get them, you could sign up. They're very short. I just send the email like an hour ahead of time. I want to thank a couple sponsors right quick at the opening. And I mentioned this throughout. I'll try not to harp on it too much, but even if you're not buying anything from the sponsors, it's great if you could hop over there and just let them know that you're happy they're supporting the live streams and the podcast. So Odys, number one, that's odys.global, the source for aged and premium domains. We'll come back to them. I didn't have a chance to record things ahead of time, which I'll tell you why in just a moment. We also have Ezoic and their product Leap. You can make your site load faster. Leap helps you do that and helps you get green and core web vitals. You could also use Ezoic with no page view, no traffic minimums. You can sign up, access now. There's a link in the description there. And finally, we have Niche Website Builders. I'm working with them for this case study where I'm publishing, I think, just under 200 articles over the course of 4 months. There's a couple updates on that. Those were actually pretty popular, and I have a new update coming out soon. So thanks to Niche Website Builders as well. Last thing I'll mention, my friend John Dyksta over at Fat Stacks has his course bundle on sale for a few days, and he's making quite a bit of money. So the headline on the sales page there, he's making over 50K per month with simple niche blogs. And the course was recently updated in April, so it's better than ever. It's just open for a few days. I don't promote too many things, not too many courses at all. His are fantastic. There's a wonderful community associated with it as well. So definitely worth checking out. And it's a bundle of courses. There are several in there, and it's actually a pretty good buy. So I did a couple interviews with John. If you don't know him, you could check it out. 2 links in there. And thanks to the sponsors. So like I said, even if you're not going to buy anything, hop over, let them know that you appreciate it. All right. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Gaz is on. What's happening? We have Zubair from Dubai. What's going on? And someone says they're a developer and blah, blah, blah. They're trying to get ideas. Rolando, you have 4 questions about content. All right, so deep questions here. Try to get through them here. So Rolando says, I have 4 questions. What do you use to research your articles? What process do you use to research the articles? So typically, I will Google the term, check out the first handful of the good results on the first page. If you can find 2 or 3, that's great. If you can find 5 or 6, that's great too. As you go through, you can skim the articles. I usually skim first, and then I'll go back and read more carefully. You kind of get the gist of it as you're going through. And usually I'll just use like a legal pad or just some paper and jot down sort of the main points. You can, use a Google Doc or type it out or whatever. It doesn't really matter how you're recording it. I just like to write things down. So usually I'll write things out and then come up essentially with an outline, a pretty straightforward outline. And I'll often, keep note of what resources I use. So in that case, I wouldn't like write out the URL. In that case, I would probably just maybe bookmark them or copy and paste them into a doc where at some point, I move from paper to a document on the computer, and I will type everything out then. But I usually first cut, I'm just like jotting things down. It's a mess. It's really sloppy on paper, and then I'll transfer it over. And that's sort of the basic way to do it. If you want to go deeper, you can go to forums or Reddit or some other crowd-based knowledge area, and you could just see what other people are saying. You may not use those things for bullet points, but you may get great ideas for frequently asked questions or things that are sort of controversial, things that there are a lot of different opinions about that you can spend time writing about. I mean, that may be a whole other article by itself. Number 2, do you use any argumentative model as a basis for the post? Not necessarily, no. Usually not. Number 3, what is the best structure for a post? I don't know that there's a best structure. I think often I would look at how other people have covered the content before to see if that makes sense to me. The hard part with content online is sometimes people that are writing it don't know what they're talking about. Maybe they're not good writers, and they are not organized. They could be people that were hired to do the writing, and they don't know the topic well, and they just wrote it as quickly as they could and hit a word count. So one place you could turn to is books. If you can find a book on the topic, you can take a look at the table of contents and have somewhat of a better idea to organize the content in a way that is better than some random writer. Sometimes you will find great writers out there, but the thing is, if you go to different sources that are not just like a website that anyone could put up, then you may be better off. So as far as the structure, there's no best structure. It depends on the content. And sometimes, a listicle is going to work because that is what communicates the ideas best. And final question, what format is better, WebP or JPEG? So I'm not the best person to ask for this. So the answer is I don't know. Maybe, just Google that and see what people think. I think, people correct me if I'm wrong here, I think the WebP format is one of those like modern formats. It's supposed to be better. But when I've tried to use WebP format images in the past, it wouldn't work. I don't remember why. I had issues with it. It was like fucked up for some reason. I don't know why. But JPEGs work, and my camera takes pictures in JPEG. My phone does. Like, it kind of works. So I would say some people will tell you to go to the modern format, the WebP, and others will say, we'll just use JPEGs because it works. So I don't know. What do you use, Rolando? Jay says, when building links, should you build them to your homepage or your money pages? What's better? A little of both is probably best. You maybe will have a hard time building links to your money pages. So there are, other ways you can have like linkable, like good assets. Sometimes people will collect data. They'll do a survey with their audience and then they'll present the data. Other people, actually, I did an interview with Jake yesterday. If you guys didn't catch the interview with Jake, did anyone see the interview with Jake, by the way? So he does a survey with his audience and then presents the data, and he could actually probably do a ton of link building to that because it's unique, original data that he gathered himself and no one else has it. He could actually even tell people, hey, if you want to use my data, you can. You just have to link back to it, and then they can add their own commentary around it if he wanted to share it like that. So as far as link building, it is good to have links to your homepage for overall sort of like brand recognition and to increase your overall internet footprint and that sort of thing. A lot of times when links are going to your homepage, they're brand links, so that gives some brandability and I think adds more authority to your website in general. So I mean, I would say if you can have like half your links going to your homepage and half going to inner pages, that's probably a good ratio. All right. What's going on, Mohammed? Good to see you. And Sam says, I hope Georgie's doing well. Yeah, she is doing well. Robin's on also. Guys reminds us, give me a thumbs up if you can. It looks like we have 8 likes on here so far, so that'll be good. All right. And before I go on too far, okay, yeah, keep the questions coming. And I do have a side story. Like I said, I didn't record the Odys ad ahead of time. We're just going to have to go through live today, which is fine. But I'll tell you why in a minute. So someone has a question. Daily article or 30 at a time, which has the most benefit? It doesn't really matter that much. If you could publish all 30 articles at one time, that is fine. I did a video maybe a couple weeks ago. I published 47 articles all in one day because I had them all in one day. So the answer is publish the articles as quickly as you can. So if you have all 30 of them at once, publish them all at once. If you have one per day or two per week or whatever cadence you're getting, if you're having them written somewhere, if you can publish them as soon as you can, that's better than not publishing them. So check out the video that I did. I actually published the 47 articles and they were all indexed like the next day. So it doesn't really matter. Just publish them as quickly as you can. You won't get a benefit by publishing all of them in one day, and you won't get a benefit from publishing them one at a time. Gaz says, people forget to research negative threads. Typically, if your niche is a hobby and you can't get something to work. Yep. Those are great ideas. So if someone is having an issue with something, they'll want to read about it. Sashi says, I got a SaaS idea to streamline article research and writing process through SaaS. What do I think? I don't know. So I kind of got a bad feeling from you, man. You said you came in and then you said, I'm a developer. Let me know your idea. So you came here, you're like trying to get ideas from people. And I don't know. It's like you came in here trying to take stuff instead of try to share things. So you said, I got an idea to streamline article research and writing through SaaS. What do I think? Sure. Streamlining stuff. People like that. People dig it. People have a hard time writing. They have a hard time researching. Someone just asked about it. Do I think your idea is good? I don't know. Streamlining stuff seems like a good idea. John says, Jake's video was top notch. The guy was smashing it with a few posts out of the gate. Yeah, if people haven't checked out the video with Jake, please do. Please leave some comments on there. It's a very good story. So the cool part, this is like completely different from many of the other interviews that I do. So Jake is making like $5,000 a month or so. And he has been for something like 18 months. He started his site, I think about 3 years ago. And in the first year, he only published about one article per month. However, I think by the end of the first year, he was making like $1,000 a month. And then he realized, oh, I need to publish more content. But it's completely different than, pumping as many articles as you can out. So, all right. Yeah, very cool interview. And, shiny object syndrome. He had other things that were holding him up, but he pulled through and did a really good job. Okay. Rolando says, you're in week 3 of the course, but you're already thinking about content. That's why you asked. Perfect. Yep, you got it. Anthony says, hi from the UK. Thanks for all the great content. You're able to write 1,000 words a day of content for a site that's 2 months old. With this amount of content, would you recommend? I think there should be more coming after that. I don't know. I don't know the rest of it. Okay. So Anthony, what's the rest of your question? John says, you'd like a live Odys ad. Something weird could happen. That's true. Zaxxon. All right. Stefan says, in WordPress, should you publish posts or pages? It really doesn't matter that much. They're basically the same thing from a SEO standpoint. Generally, you'll probably publish most of your content as posts. Typically, pages are used when you're doing like an about page, or maybe you have a specific sort of guide and you want it to be a page for some reason. Again, from an SEO standpoint, a page versus a post, they're pretty much equivalent. In fact, there's plugins where you can convert a page to a post or vice versa. With The page aspect, you also have the capability to create a silo using parent and child relationship so that you're able to have like domain.com/headphones/AirPods, for example. And then you could have other Bluetooth headphones. So it's like headphones/Bluetooth. And you can have sort of the hierarchy and the breadcrumb trail and all that stuff. So when it comes down to it, I would say do your about page, maybe have a couple other pages, but most things will probably be post and you'll be just fine. You don't have to make it overly complicated, anything like that. Other people have different opinions, so I would say, Google it as well and see, maybe you run across someone who really has a strong opinion about it. I don't. And there may be some compelling reason that you're drawn to, you relate to for some reason, and you're like, oh yeah, like that makes sense for the content that I'm doing. So I want to use mostly pages and maybe just a couple posts. All right. And okay, here's the rest of the question from Anthony. So let's go back to the beginning. Anthony says, you can write 1,000 words a day for a site that's 2 months old. Would I recommend that amount of time, 2 to 3 hours a night? Would you recommend just getting content out for the first year? You know what? I'm not sure. With that amount of time, 2 to 3 hours a night, would you recommend just getting content out for the first year? Oh, do you mean just like publish content for a year and then work on other stuff later? Yeah, I would say that's probably a decent idea. You can publish for look at it quarterly though. You'll have a feedback loop. You could publish for, a quarter or a month or whatever interval you want to look at. And the thing is, you don't want to burn out 2 to 3 hours a night for a year. You don't want to burn out. So you may have a lot of energy to write for a month and then you're like, I got to have a break. I need to work on some other stuff. And maybe you can look at working on other things at that time. But publishing content, if you do that, that's great. If you're publishing roughly one article per day, that's awesome. I don't think you have to do that. And the biggest thing, the biggest factor for success, of course, just in my opinion, is just being able to consistently do the work over a long period of time. It doesn't mean you have to do stuff every day. It's just more days than not, did you do what you were planning on doing? Because things are going to go off the rails. Your plan is going to get destroyed occasionally through external factors. And there's no way to control that. Just know your plan is not going to go exactly how you think. So don't spiral out of control. Just make sure you get back on track before too long. It's okay if you miss a day. It's okay if you miss a week. Just make sure you get back and keep moving forward. And Jay says, why don't you show any of your income reports like other YouTubers? Well, Jay, I'm not like other YouTubers at all. I never published full income reports. I did some partial case study type deals. So I published some earnings information over time. But then first, and I think people that show up to these, I'm lazy above anything else, I think. So at some point, I was sort of inconsistent, even with some of the case studies, which were a subset of my earnings. But I don't show my earnings. And I think it was the specific reason is it's not really relatable and it's not very helpful for the point that I'm trying to make or the things that I'm trying to do. So my own personal earnings are not going to be helpful. The interesting thing when I go back, when I first started on anything online, I was following Smart Passive Income, Pat Flynn. And when he was sharing his income reports, if I'm not sure if it was as secretive as it sounded like. It could have been. I'm sure other people were sharing income reports a little bit, but basically it sounded like no one was sharing their income and he was like fully transparent sharing his income. So that was really inspiring. And I think when I hopped on, like Pat Flynn was making like 40 or 50K per month, which is like a year's salary, right? For for a lot of people, the earlier days of Pat Flynn sharing his revenue was pretty inspiring. But when you start seeing that someone's making like a full year salary in a month, it's not relatable and it's not nearly as helpful because I can't draw the parallel. I can't see I'm making $0 on a month when I'm starting out. And then you're like, I'm following this guy who's making, over time after I was following Pat, who's making like 100K a month. And that is not very relatable. It's great, if someone's already earning 10K a month and they're like, I want to 10X it and get to 100K a month. But if you're just randomly trying to get started and you're like, all right, I'm gonna try to do this, it's not helpful. So, and I'm just saying I make 100K a month, but at some point it ceases to be helpful. So I never shared my full income anyway. And then, the other part is, when some people share their income, that's what they're doing full time anyway. When I got started, I had a job, and I'm pretty sure HR wasn't going to be like super thrilled that I was doing stuff on the side anyway, especially if I was sharing income, especially not like the full income. So anyway, I don't share the income reports and I think it's okay. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we really want to see all the details, but I think it's all right. I put in my reps. I put in some time over the years, so I think people trust me. I mean, look at all the YouTube videos I've done. I've done like hundreds of live streams even. There's hundreds of um, podcast episodes as well. So I think it's all right. I think I have credibility even though I don't show my income. All right. And Gaz says, I'm not sure I follow. Maybe I missed part of it. Gaz says, I know it was Nadia as I suspect it uses the Google API, which we're told not to use. I don't know what that is in reference to. OK Fever says, is biography a good niche? I don't know. I haven't seen it being a very popular one. It might be great. I don't know. Okay. John says, when I'm posting a lot, I struggle making my silo easy to navigate. I feel like stuff has a deep crawl depth off my homepage. I internal link, but how can I improve making crawl depth less? You would need to, I mean, there's only a couple ways to do it. So you can, number one, don't make the silos so complicated. When I first got into silos, like I've completely screwed it up because I didn't know how I was going to architect the site and I planned ahead too far in a way that was difficult to adjust. So you can not do silos. So that helps. The other is just put links from your homepage to more content that's out there. You can use that idea, and instead of just like linking directly to your homepage to the individual post, you can set up what essentially would be like custom category pages. So you would link from your homepage to this page, truly a page, and then that page would maybe have a little intro, and then it would have links to the deeper child pages and the deeper silos directly from that page. So then it's only 1-2 links away from the homepage. Anthony says the niche is music education. Should I make tutorial videos? Look at backlinks. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, if you like video, tutorial videos are great. I watch a ton of that kind of stuff. I play guitar. My guitar's not up. I don't think I'm going to play today. I got some other stuff going on. Okay. So backlinks, yeah, promoting your site. That's a easy one to, get into. That is very important as well. So yeah, all of them are important. Or not videos specifically, but all of the different areas that you could work on are important. Videos could be good. It's a whole other, it's a whole other thing. It's like building a whole other blog. It's completely different skills. But if you like video, it would be helpful and it would add to the, I guess, overall comprehensive nature of the content, then I would say go for it. But it's really hard. I mean, you got 2 to 3 hours per night. Anthony, it could be tough. And what it's so hard because you're like, all right, I can write 1,000 words a night. I have 2 to 3 hours per day. I can work on this stuff at night. Should I write for 1 year? Fuck, I don't know, man. That's hard to say. So you should definitely revisit it periodically. I would say if you try to write 1,000 words per day for a year, you're probably going to burn out. So you can do tutorial videos. You can do TikTok. You can work on backlinks. You can work on just networking within your niche. You can work on improving the existing content that you've already published. You can just keep publishing. So you will need to revisit it. Don't try to like plan out a full year when you're, what'd you say, you're 2 months in? So publishing a lot of content, that's great. You don't want to get too distracted, but you also don't want to burn out. All right, Stefan says, you're pretty firm with WordPress and you don't want to overcomplicate things. You help me with your answer to see I don't miss a thing. Okay, cool. All right, Gaz says, with the full-time job, I would use the evenings to read, learn with YouTube videos, follow the live streams. I would use weekends to produce content, sometimes 1 article per week. Anthony, also, best advice I can give is to research keywords. Just ensure you write articles or produce videos that people are searching for. Cool. And Anthony, I hope that was helpful. I was a little all over the place, but it's a difficult, I don't want to tell you to like, yeah, just lock yourself in, write for a year, don't come out. That's not helpful. But Anthony, watch the interview that published yesterday with Jake. That will sort of change the way that you view it potentially. He is publishing a lot of content nowadays, but the quality, right? You could be much better off, like Gaz is saying, maybe just publish 2 articles per week, but they are very, very good. Go for quality, not quantity. And then gaming says, what's the best ratio of articles can I specify a percentage? There's no best ratio, but in general, a safe sort of ratio would be like 50-50. Oh, and someone said that was a strong pour. Yeah, I use these old bourbon bottles here just to put water in. I hate to throw out, like a nice thick piece of glass here. This was the Knob Creek smoked maple. It's a good one. All right, so quick, keep asking questions here. I'm going to come back in a second here, but we do need to hit Odys. ODYS is the source for aged domains with strong backlinks and really good branding. This is NYC food photographer. So the cool part is this is a 12-year-old domain. There's 151 referring domains and 9 high authority backlinks. They have their own sort of way that they value the website and, the value of the age. I'm not sure, that seems fine. 12 years old, that's cool. The big thing is the number of links and the high authority backlinks. Those would be very, very pricey to actually get. This one has what I believe to be really strong branding, and it is fantastic if you're a food photographer, it'd be like a no-brainer. I think you could probably branch out into just general food photography or even, side topics of just photography and those ideas. The great part with a domain like this is you could have affiliate reviews and affiliate links as monetization. You would have a really nice, I don't know what word I'm looking for. It fits perfectly to promote products, physical products, cameras, lenses, other stuff like that, lighting, other accessories. But you also have software that you can recommend and earn affiliate revenue from that for photo editing and such. You also could have courses, photography courses that you recommend as well. And there are tons and tons of food photography specific courses and just photography in general. Additionally, you probably could refer business to New York food, the industry in general, the New York food industry. It could be like walking food tours, which I love. That's an underrated way to see a city. Really great way to just get a quick tour. You get to try food from different restaurants, but you could refer people to food walking tours and that sort of thing in New York, right? And you could probably branch out a little bit, and I think it would fit okay. If you join Odys using and it's free to join, you just have to fill out a little application. You can get $100 in your account. If you buy anything, I might earn a commission. Here's a quick note of the links. So we have complex.com, curb.com, brit.co, Bon Appetit. We have Thrillist Food and Wine, Texas Monthly, Business Insider, South by Southwest, Yahoo, and so on. So if you get a domain like this, it's fantastic because these are links that you probably can't get. Even if you wanted to buy some of those links, you couldn't get them. It would be very difficult. They have a couple EDU, Thomas Keller, Chowhound, even more. So yeah, it's a perfect, if you have a food blog or a food photography interest, this would be a fantastic one to get. And it was fairly reasonably priced for what you're getting. So check out Odys if you are interested. And let's hop back to the questions. Don't forget, we do have a sponsorship with, let's see if I can get this. I always forget to put this little thing here. Yeah, right over my face. Niche website builders, 10% more content for done for you sites, 10% more content on done for you orders, or 10% off on the link building packages. So thanks to Niche website builders. And you could check them out. There's a link in the description so you could download and get the coupon codes. All right. Daniel says, yeah, I've been looking for month one income reports for expectations. It's inspiring to see people with high numbers, but that's where I am now. Although I did get on the first page of Google for the first time today. Congrats. Good job, Daniel. Yeah, month one, you're not going to earn anything, probably. Generally, I would say month 2 to 3 is when you might start seeing a little bit of some earnings. Since you are on page 1, you're in month 1, I would say you're on track to, get some earnings in the first, maybe month 2 to 3. But for significant earnings, say $100 per month, you're probably looking at least 6 months or so. For most people, I'm making broad generalizations because there's many niches out there. There's different ways to monetize. There's a lot of variables in the whole situation. So, all right. Nick says, at what number of articles would you let a site sit to age before moving on to another site? 200, 300, 400? So this is a cool question because I don't really view it like this. And I'm not a person that recommends doing like having a portfolio of sites. I usually tell people, you're much better off just working on the same site. And the more people I talk to with sites that are earning a lot of money, it's really apparent that, number one, most people don't even get close to the potential of their site. I never have personally. It's really hard because you have to just focus, and after you've gotten bored multiple times, once you're sick of the site, like you have to keep working on it and keep iterating on it and just work harder on it. And like either people get frustrated or they get bored working on the same thing. The point that I'm trying to make is, you're saying how many articles before you let it sit and age before moving on to another site. It depends on your business model. And by the way, I'm only telling you my opinion. If you have a business model such that you're like, I'm going to publish 300 articles as quickly as I can, and then I'm going to move on to another site and I'm going to publish 300 articles as quickly as I can. Maybe you're going to do this once a quarter. I have a friend who, like, his business plan for a short time, it turned out that this didn't work out. He was going to start a new site every quarter so that he always had something new going. He really liked building new sites. And he also wanted to have sites that were aged, coming to maturity, out of the sandbox, a year old. Like he would always have more sites, and then he would be able to just like keep growing them. Turned out, didn't work. I can't remember exactly why, but he just ended up with a bunch of sites, and he's like, man, this is fucking complicated. I'm not really interested in doing this. I think he got rid of a few, sold a couple. And I mean, it's not that the sites weren't earning money, but they weren't all earning like 5 figures a month. It was like they'd earn like 3, 4, $100 or maybe, $2,000 a month, but they never grew as big as he was expecting. And it was a lot of work to do each one. The reason why I'm telling you this is, instead of moving on to another site, what if you have a site that has like 2,000 articles, right? Instead of like jumping around. So over the course of say 2 years, you have a site with 2,000 articles instead of several sites with like 200. Now it depends on the business model. Again, you might be focusing on really high quality content, maybe a smaller site, maybe it's high ticket. There's a lot of different ways to do this. So if you want to try building a site, publishing X amount of content, and then moving on, that is okay. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but that is a way to do it. So I didn't answer your question other than I don't recommend you doing that. But if you wanted to, I wouldn't judge you for it. Not more than I would judge anyone else. Gaz says, it's true. You've never seen me with a Lambo. Yeah. And I have like a crappy 16-year-old truck. I mean, I'm a very non-flashy person. Jody says, are links from local businesses to a directory more stronger than regular links from one-off blogs? Not necessarily. No. Directory from one-off blogs. Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, I think you have to look at the relevancy of the site, and you have to look at the relevancy of the content, and you would also need to analyze and look at and consider the backlink profile of the local business and the one-off blog. So you would have to do some analysis, and I think one of the key things is like if you potentially can actually get traffic from the link. I think that's a good thing. All right. And Goss says it was a previous update before post about indexing issues. You missed the first part. Yeah, I did miss the first part. I don't know. I looked through, guys. I'm sorry. I thought, I wonder if it got hung up in moderation or something. Yeah, I don't see it, man. Let me look if it was blocked. I don't see it. You can try to rewrite it if you want. I just don't see it. All right. Oh, quick note. I talked about the sponsors, but I would love it if you checked out my podcast. It's called The Doug Show. There's a link in the description. There's a lot of the same interviews and stuff, but there's also different episodes that I don't publish here on YouTube. So please check that out. And I also have another podcast called Mile High Fi. It's about personal finance and financial independence. So for the person Jay who is asking about income reports, I don't publish income reports, but I am financially independent. So that number one does explain why I'm pretty casual, maybe some people would say cavalier about the affiliate deals and all this stuff. And I shit on other products because I don't care. Yeah. I usually don't bend over backwards to try to promote some products, because I don't really care to promote other products like that, especially crappy ones. And other people do. They're like, oh, this is the best theme ever, blah, blah, blah. You got to use this tool. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter that much. So that one's called Mile High Fi. And we talk about personal finance. It's pretty fun. It's different than this. All right, let's get back on track here. And it's so funny. Gaz is telling me, am I not getting any of this? So it says it was a previous update, and then you say the first part, like it's like half of your messages aren't showing up or something. I don't know, man. I'm not sure. All right, John says thanks on the crawl depth. You're welcome. Oh yeah. Anthony says it is helpful. That's fantastic. Thanks. Because sometimes, sadly, a lot of the time I'm like, number one, I'm not even sure the question that's being asked. And then I'm like, I don't have experience in the area. And then there's all these big holes. But I'm glad it's helpful. I do talk through stuff, and I say when I don't know. Justin says, thoughts on programmatic SEO versus just article after article. When you say programmatic SEO, can you explain what you mean? Oh yeah, I remember Learn Medicare Billing. Your licensed PT. Your main site is up to 72 articles, knee replacement specific. You got 455 from Ezoic and 250 from Amazon. Thanks for your content. That's fantastic. Shoot me an email, Doug@nichesiteproject.com. Would love to hear more about your story. You can just put like a couple bullet points or something like that, but that sounds like a great success story, especially like the earnings, like the amount that you're at right now is great. As Daniel was mentioning, like it's great to hear like early on, like where are people at early on. It's great when someone's making thousands or tens of thousands per month, but it's really helpful because most people are beginners. Most people haven't started yet, and then there's a small number of like really advanced people, and there's a bunch of people that are trying to do more. Maybe they have a site, maybe they're making tens of dollars per month, and they want to take it to a few hundred per month. So some of these early stories are great. Side note, someone emailed me today, and they said it's great to hear stories like Jake. And there are a couple like success characteristics, like I mentioned earlier. If you can be consistent over a long period of time, you're probably going to be okay. You can mess up in a variety of different areas, and you could fuck up again and again, and you're probably going to be okay as long as you're consistent. You can make bad decisions as long as they're not catastrophic. You're probably going to be okay as long as you keep moving forward despite the setbacks. So the person that emailed me, I forget his name, but I'm going to be doing a podcast episode on it. And basically he was like, what are the characteristics of people that aren't successful, or people that they have published like 200 articles and they're making like $15 a month, and they're like, I don't know, like I need to publish more, like I need to do more and more. And there was a specific person, and I referenced it in the podcast version of the interview with Jake. I did a little more commentary at the end, and I was like, there's someone who they publish like 300 articles, 200 to 300 articles. And they're making like $15 to $20 per month. And they're like, oh, I need to do more. I think I picked the wrong niche. And I was like, you didn't pick the wrong. I actually emailed them back and I was like, you didn't pick the wrong niche. I know someone else is doing really well with fewer articles, and they're making like thousands of dollars per month in the same niche as you. Like it's not the niche. Like you unfortunately have fucked up somewhere. I don't know where. You need to get a friend to, have a look and see what you're doing, but like it's not the niche. Like there's some core foundational mistake that you've made, and you have to find it. You have to try and figure it out. So anyway, the person said, we want to hear about people that aren't successful and maybe we can learn something from that. I thought it was a good idea. Kind of like what Gaz was saying, like looking at the negative, a negative conversation, or, the inverse, like the non-success story, that sort of thing. Okay. Let's move on. Kind of wrap up here. And Daniel says it was a great interview with Jake. Much appreciated. Thanks for checking it out. And if people, I did ask and I did solicit feedback on the interview with Jake. So thank you for checking it out. If you have the opportunity to share it somewhere, please do spread the word about the podcast, about the channel. And that was a really good interview. It is sort of counterintuitive in a lot of ways. Okay. Jay says you have a site that's 9 months old, getting 700 to 800 visitors per day on analytics, but Ezoic shows 1,000 visits. You've been stuck with these numbers for a month. What should you do? So number one, that's great. Good job. You got, hundreds of visitors per day in under a year. So you're probably earning some money. And you make sure you're looking at the same data on analytics versus Ezoic. I have a hunch on analytics, you're looking at visitors, and then on Ezoic, you're probably looking at page views. So just look, and you can look at the same data on the two different systems, and hopefully they line up. If they don't, head over to Ezoic support, hop in the chat, tell them what the question is, and they'll be able to give you more information. You've been stuck on those number of visitors for a month. So what should you do? So probably there's two main areas you could focus on. It's getting backlinks, and then the other is publishing more content. So you can publish more content, new articles. You can also improve existing content. So the thing is, you've been stuck for 1 month, but the thing is, you probably can just publish more content and be in great shape. So if you press me, I would just say publish more content and you'll be fine. And you got to 700 to 800 visitors per day. So whatever you did to get there, just do more and more of that. All right. Learn Medicare says you rarely hear about licensed health care providers building sites in your money or your life. It seems like we have an advantage because you're licensed providers. 100%. That is something you should do. Nick says, from your experience, if a site is getting a lot of traffic from Bing, Yahoo, and other search engines, is it a good sign for Google in your experience? Is that a good sign for Google? Is that a bad thing? I've never paid attention to Bing, Yahoo, or other search engines. It's just such a small amount of the search engine traffic that, yeah, it's, I mean, what is Google, like 92% of the search engine traffic? So is it a good sign? It's not bad. I mean, that's better than not having traffic from any of the search engines. Does it mean you'll be successful in Google? I think that's what you're getting at. I don't know. I am not sure. But it's better than not. So where can you get reliable data for EPM associated with a particular information niche? I'm sponsored by Ezoic. I'm biased. Go to Ezoic. They have some data on EPMV, the earning per 1,000 visitors. So that may not tell you exactly, but you may be able to draw some conclusions from that information. So check out Ezoic. Follow the link in the description here. Oh, Vince is here. What's going on? Gus says you loved New York. And Kazi says you love me. Great. You're a big fan. Fantastic. Oh, Daniel listened to Mile High Fi. Interesting new sponsor. Yeah, that's great. You know, we try to have a good time. Thanks for checking it out, Daniel. And it was a recent episode, so certainly check that out. Okay. Kazi says, when do you start one-on-one training? So I have one-on-one coaching. I don't offer it widely. So, but if you're interested, you can go to nichesiteproject.com and there's a hire me page and you can check it out there. And Gaz says, it says the first part was posted in the chat. Yeah, it doesn't show up over here unless I completely missed it. So just someone repost it for me. Can someone just put it in the chat so I can see it here? I feel like I'm chasing my fucking tail. All right. Kazi says, in KGR, do you have to calculate using the US search volume or global? Use your local search volume. So yeah, US. Kazi says, how do I rate SEMrush versus Ahrefs? I don't care. You could use either one you want. Justin says programmatic SEO being either Madlib style articles built from a database or what you're building, dynamic product comparison and alternative to posts reusing content, features, pricing, and summaries. Oh, I don't have a strong opinion. It sounds cool, especially if you have a smart way that you actually could reuse the information in a, like you said, alternatives or comparison. That seems like it could be cool. I haven't done that. I think I've probably seen websites that use something like that, where it is helpful, and if it's for the right audience, it can be effective, and I think it could rank. Gaz says, Jake was very humble with his success. Yeah, super cool guy. All right. Karar says, I have 140 articles and my site is earning 150, all informational. It's underperforming badly. I know I have a problem with keyword research. However, where is a good keyword info video? So just go to my channel. You should check out I think it was last week, there was a live stream on informational keywords, but basically go to my channel and just go to the little search just for my channel and search for keyword and keyword research, and you'll probably find 50 videos. So I would say watch those. All right. Oh, and Daniel says, you've been going over a few older interviews and following their stories, and it's been far more inspiring hearing their stories. So that's one thing I somehow have been doing a pretty good job with, is just following along as people are doing this for multiple years. And it's it's pretty crazy, especially hearing people when they're like, I'm not really sure. Like, you could just hear them get more confident over the course of a couple of years or so, or really just a couple months. But then as time goes on, you hear the progression go. So thanks for checking those out, Daniel. All right. Well, we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. Thanks everybody for hopping on. Much appreciated. Hit the thumbs up if you liked the video. You could hit the dislike if you didn't like it. So far, so good. I don't think we have any of those, but I mean, I'm trying to answer everyone's questions except for I miss Gaz's stuff. I'm sorry, man. I don't know. This happens occasionally. Kazi says, how do you improve the bounce rate? Bounce rate of 85% for a 4-month-old site. I have a video on improving the bounce rate. Generally, you want to keep people on the site longer, or interact with your site. 85% isn't necessarily bad. It depends on the niche. It depends on your site. A lot of times I've seen sites doing really well with like a 90% bounce rate, but it just depends. All right, prepper survival skills. Your site's doing good, but you applied to AdSense and they said you're scraping information, which I'm not. What to do? I would Google that. I've heard of people having issues, but I don't know what to do when they reject your site, or how long it takes to reapply, or if you could just reapply. I'm not sure. So you may need to Google that and see what people have done to come to a solution. Jan, is it Jan or Yanez? Yanez? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. What do you recommend once you've written several self-help ebooks, besides posting free reads on the site and having basic content on the topics? Oh, so without knowing much, I would say you could try to guest post on other people's sites just to grow your audience, and try to be on podcast. That's a great way to just get out there and get in front of other people's audiences. And the fact that you've written books is very helpful because, it shows you're an expert in the area. If you don't have, I don't know if you're getting much traffic on the site, but you should definitely have an email list. An email list is key. So, you would generally follow the same kind of ideas as what we're doing to sell affiliate products, where you have keywords that are attracting the kind of audience that you want. So you have blog posts on the basic content of the topics probably covered in your book. But the question is, are people actually searching for that? If they're not searching for it with keywords, then they're probably never going to find it. So you have to figure out a way to get in front of the right audience. And Jamie does say early on, seeing traffic from Bing and Yahoo is a good sign, common with new sites. Kazi says, how much minimum traffic is good for applying for Amazon affiliate and Google AdSense? There's no set number, but if you're just asking, I would say, wait till you're getting like 15 visitors a day before applying. That way you have like some traffic coming in, and most likely you'll make a few Amazon sales over time and be able to make the 3 orders within the 180 days. Okay, Sam says Google is under 90% in the US, but way more in the UK. Jay says, do I have any tips for guest post outreach emails not going to spam to the person you're wanting to outreach? You may try a different channel that's not email. The other thing is, if you are sending out a lot of emails that are getting marked as spam, then that's probably why. When I get pitch emails that are bad, I usually mark them as spam. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Oh, Daniel's already out of here. And yeah, tomorrow I'm on the Niche Lifestyle Show. I think it's on Alex's channel tomorrow. And Jay, I would say, you just have to make sure you sort of reach out in a networking way, not a way that seems like you're asking for a guest post. Michael says, what's my opinion of the modified version of KGR in Writer's End? I have no opinion. Oh, and Rolando says, what's the finance channel? It's Mile High Fi. So if you follow the Mile High Fi link in the description here, there's a YouTube. Yeah, there's the YouTube channel right there. So we're publishing everything over there on the YouTube channel. All right. I think that wraps it up for today. And I can add a little bit more as far as the Writer's End stuff, the KGR. I don't know. I haven't tested it. I think I'll say this. The reason why I've kept KGR simple, right? Because I have had there's other input data that one could use for KGR, but the simplicity is what helps it work. And that's why I could say, it doesn't matter which keyword research tool you use, because KGR is very forgiving. It's an aggressive formula, so the results are more forgiving. As far as trying to really bastardize the formula and make it apply to other things is probably interesting to look at, but I have no experience with results or the impact of bastardizing the idea of KGR into something more general. All right. We have the last couple. So Kazi said, what's a good rate of writing? Basically, as much as you can publish. All right. And Sam says, yesterday's interview was great. excellent example of going really deep into a lucrative niche, golden retrievers. Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Be sure you subscribe to the channel.